Hey guys, today on Reaching the Summit, I'll be talking with Thom Priano. Let me say that again.
Thom Priano.
He's an absolute legend, R+co co-owner, editorial artist, hairdresser, men's specialist, vegan, and maybe even my new best friend after this chat. Let's listen in as he explains how he got to where he is today. All right, we have Thom Priano here, a hairdresser, editorial extraordinaire, if I may, entrepreneur, vegan, which I would love to talk to you about later. Welcome, Thom Priano.
Hi, everybody. I'm going to tell you a little bit about myself today. I started my career in hairdressing after high school. That would be 19. The reason why I got into hairdressing is because I was lost after high school and I didn't know where to go. I had a really smart grandmother that encouraged me to go into hairdressing because I had two other cousins that were hairdressers. And she said, they make a really good living doing what they're doing. And, I knew my cousins very well, and they were doing very well in the small town they lived in. And she said to me, if you become a hairdresser, you don't have to stick with it your entire life, but you'll always have something to fall back on if your other plans don't work out. So, I didn't have any real direction after high school. I knew I didn't want to go to college because I didn't know what I wanted to do with myself. So I took her advice and went to beauty school. That was in Buffalo, New York. To be quite frank with everyone here, in those days, I didn't feel like I really learned a lot in beauty school, but it's really necessary to go to get your state license. So I went to get my state license. I learned what I could learn from the instructors that were there. I'm sure today they're much more advanced than they were almost 40 years ago. So I think you have a bigger opportunity to grow in beauty school than I did. After beauty school, I graduated from beauty school, and my first job, during beauty school, I should say, I assisted on the weekends at a pretty famous beauty salon where I just shampooed hair and watched these really talented. That, and when I graduated, I got my first job at a place called Edie Adams Cut and Curl. This place was a place that would do a wash, set, and cut for like $3.95. And it was almost like a piecemeal job that you had to do large volumes of people before you would make any money. And I stuck with that for about 3 months before I decided, this is not what I got into hairdressing for. This is not stimulating. It was one of the worst things I could have done to follow a career path. So I quit. And one afternoon, or I should say one morning, I was sitting in my mother's kitchen reading the newspaper, and I saw this great ad with this guy that had really long hair. It was sketched out with a big mouth. It said, come meet the style director at Jen's Beauty Salon. And it intrigued me because that's the sort of hairdresser I wanted to be, this sort of glamorous, creative person. So I got dressed up and I went down to the Jen's Beauty Salon, and I walked in. The manager was sitting at the desk, and from the desk you could actually see a large portion of the salon. And the style director was working in there, and he sent a message up to the desk: hire the guy, even if he doesn't know how to do hair, which I laugh about to this day. That style director was Garen, and I had to go in and I had to, of course, do a model. I did 2 models. And at that time, hairdressing was still doing a lot of roller sets. And we were just moving into blow drying hair and cutting it and, just letting it go. So I was on the cusp of 2 worlds of doing hair, which was, again, fortunate because I have all the basics of setting hair and teasing and doing extravagant looks with hair. And then I went into blow drying and cutting. Mm-hmm. The salon that I walked into, where Garen was a style director, was a Glenby International Beauty Salon. They had, I think, maybe 1,200 beauty salons across the world. And they were mainly found in larger department stores, some smaller ones, in hotels, and a pretty good company to work for because immediately I got in there and I was hired as one of their trainers after I went through their rigorous role of learning how to cut the way they wanted hair to be cut. Because at that time they were doing, let's say, 6 haircuts that you could teach anybody across the country. Mm-hmm. So it was sort of a cookie cutter hair cutting class. Mm-hmm. But, when I traveled across the country to teach people, some people didn't even know how to cut a bob. So it was easy. I shouldn't say easy, but it was a nice way to introduce younger kids and older people how to rethink how to cut hair. And along with that, we taught them how to blow dry and style hair. I think I spent 2 years before I said to Garen, let's get out of here. We're not going to go anywhere in this town. Not that Buffalo wasn't a big town, but I wanted more. Garen wanted more. So I said to him, let's move to New York and see what happens. I mean, one of us have to make it. So we packed up, left Buffalo, and started our adventure in New York. Because I moved with a company, I really didn't have to suffer about looking for a job because the company gave us, both of us, jobs in 2 upscale beauty salons in New York. When I started in a place that doesn't exist anymore. It was called Charles of the Ritz. Mm-hmm. It was on the corner of Park Avenue and 57th Street. It was a very, very uptown beauty salon, or as a lunch would go. I think I spent maybe 1 year there before I moved out and went to another department store called Henry Bendel's. Throughout that whole period throughout that whole period of working for Glenby, I would travel all over the country teaching people how to cut the 6 haircuts that we were all programmed to teach. In the meantime, with that too, Garen had his job at Bergdorf Goodman, and he started doing a lot of editorial work for the magazines. And he was doing so much work that he couldn't do it all. So he asked if I could take his overflow. And I said, sure, I'd love to. So that was with this English photographer called John Stember, and the model was Christy Brinkley. I was like scared, to be honest with you, to go on set. And it was for Glamour magazine, and it was a cover and some inside pages. Well, it all turned out really well. Everyone liked me, and from there, it just sort of built. I would say for the first 5 years of my career, I did mostly women's hair. And then I met this makeup artist by the name of Bonnie Maller, who at that time was doing the no makeup look. And she was working with this photographer by the name of Bruce Weber. Now, Bruce is famous for doing a lot of men in the industry and really changing the way men looked. From the 1960s and 70s, he brought them into the 80s, 90s, and very heroic looking photographs. So Bonnie said to me, I want you to meet this photographer friend of mine, and I think you'll really like him. I know he's going to really like you. So it was my first job with him was with Pere Louis. It was the Italian glamour of Italy. And I showed up on set, of course, and I didn't do it on purpose. I was late. For some reason, I just didn't make it there on time. And at that time, I was wearing a black motorcycle jacket, jeans, and my hair was, I think it was probably down to my shoulders. And I walked on the set and I apologized to him. And I just knew he thought I just came from a club.
Yeah.
But the day worked out really well. Bruce and I really hit it off very well. And I guess for the next 30 some years, I worked for him or with him on all his photographs, which included, like Calvin Klein, Ralph Lauren. Mm-hmm. And I did a lot of GQ with him. And when I started doing GQ, that's when my career as a male hairstylist took off, because not only was I working with Bruce Weber, but I was working with all the photographers that GQ worked with. And the whole group of editors at GQ liked working with me, so they would hire me. I was pretty much working for them full time, besides doing beauty salon work too.
And I have to ask, when you were late, please tell me you flipped your hair back. Sorry.
My hair was really curly at that point in my life. Uh-huh. And I used to dye it jet black because it would look better in the clubs that way. You have to remember back then it was Studio 54 and all these dance clubs. So you really got it together to go out at night.
Oh my gosh.
So, so my career with Bruce was about 30 years or maybe even longer than that. The time just went by. And I developed a real sense of doing men's hair. And the biggest issue that we had when I was doing that was when I went into the salon, I switched from doing women's hair to men's hair. But the big plus to that was that I was not going to cut men's hair cheaper than I was cutting women's hair. So men's hair to me, it took the same amount of knowledge and talent to cut as I did for women. So I never degraded my prices for that. And I think now it's against the law to charge less for men's hair. I think that law was passed recently.
That's interesting. Because
it's discrimination.
It is. And yes, it is. And there's some salons I know of that charge less than a women's cut for a men's cut. And I've said to these people, for a variety of reasons, I think it should be the same, because sometimes skin fade into a really distinct look on top, or even a longer men's look, is harder than long round layers.
Yeah, but there's no reason why you wouldn't do that same haircut on a woman.
True. Yeah. So, and I've done that many times.
There is no difference.
Yeah.
I would like to say to people that are in beauty school today that practice. Mm-hmm. That's what's going to make you the best you can be. I mean, you may hate going to school. I did. I mean, I'm not a really good student for anyone to sit in front of. But take it from an older soul that if you practice and get motivated through school or in a beauty salon, you'll see how much easier it is to develop as a really great hairdresser.
Yeah, and that's why I wanted to reach out to people like you and others who I know have done a lot, like you and Garen, or just people that are really positive, because there's students online, like we talked about the other day, who are just unsure of where to go or what life is going to be like, or if this is the right direction. And it's I know plenty of people from the past who are amazing hairstylists or barbers or nail techs or whatever, who just couldn't really handle it or handle the pressure. I don't know. And then they gave up and they were so talented. And now I feel like because of COVID and everything going on, like we can't really waste time. So if it's not for you, then move on, but don't just give up at the same time. And yes, it's crazy right now, but there's so many opportunities.
You just have to, at this time especially, because I have so many friends that are hairdressers that are, they're almost starving because there's no work for them.
Yeah.
They can't work in a beauty salon right now, and the money that they're making is from door to door to clients that even will let them cut their hair, because a lot of clients don't even want their haircut because of this pandemic. But this is going to pass. We're going through a really rough time right now. I think by the end of spring, maybe the early summer, that we'll see a whole different thing going on. I think we'll get back to where we used to be.
Yeah.
But I think we'll be there. People shouldn't get discouraged. You should just move ahead and do as much as you can. Especially today, we have social media that is a real big plus for everybody to get involved in. You can showcase your work on it. I could never do that. I mean, when I was going to beauty school, and my work was always showcased in magazines, but those magazines are not existing anymore. They're sort of fading into the sunset, and social media is coming to the forefront. So that is the new magazines of today, I think. Again, I don't know how long that's going to last either, but get involved with social media. You can pilot, be really creative with what you do. Get some clothes together from a used clothing store or a vintage store, and dress somebody up, have their makeup done. I mean, really just do your own shooting, and you'll find that people will take note of it.
Yeah, we were talking about social media yesterday and how to, even with your phone, take a picture and how to be considerate of your client's head shape or surrounding. Maybe for like a simple photo with your camera on your phone, would you suggest what to consider when taking a photo of your client? Like, should they continue to take clients' pictures at the chair or step away? I know times are a little weird.
I always like to step away from the chair because it looks so in the beauty salon. I like to either get a blank, looks nice. Always remember the lighting. Lighting is very important when you're taking pictures because you can make somebody look really bad. And if you've done a really good job, it doesn't matter if they look bad. So make sure the lighting is correct. It's nice to see the back of somebody's hair, but if you're going to do the back of somebody's hair, let's see the front too. So you have the public has a better idea of what it really looks like on that person. I mean, I go to these hairdressers' feeds, and all I see is the back of people's hair. How many wavy heads of hair can I look at? I mean, I want to see what it looks like on that person.
Yeah. With Instagram and how it's laid out, you can almost take a picture of the back, side, and front and have it just laid out in the 3 grid and really see the whole thing right there.
Or on the same page, with 3 different pictures on the same page. There's an app for that.
Yeah.
There's an app for everything today. So
yeah, my kids FaceTimed with Santa last night.
There you go.
And
so just stick with it. I think if everybody sticks with it, we'll all get further ahead here.
Yeah. And I have just a couple more questions. Are you good on time?
No, I'm good. Yeah.
And if they decide to go the social media route, or even not social media, just in general, and they want to have their brand, I feel like because of just, even if COVID didn't exist, the authenticity was in high demand. And then COVID came along, and I feel like that really exposed a lot of people, brands, however you want to look at it, whether in like a really negative way or just people mentally, whatever the circumstances were, people wanted more authenticity, or people were becoming more authentic. And with the brand, I feel like as long as I've been following you on social media and reading about you, you're you. What you see is kind of what you get, it seems like. And I like how you incorporate lifestyle, which the editorial clothing, all that, and then how you're vegan, and then just being aware of what's going on with the planet. If so many things.
Well, I think you have the ability to control what you want the public to see about you. Mm-hmm. I mean, I personally, I don't, I just put everything out there. I don't care what people see about me. I am a vegan. I'm a hairdresser. I adore men. So you'll find lots of men on my Instagram site. If I feel like being political, I'll put that on there too. The one thing I have to say, if you want to build your brand, I would advise you just to stick to one product or one view until you establish yourself into the image that you want the public to see. Then once you
And yeah, that's awesome. I'm writing some stuff down. Yeah, I like how you and your team have incorporated the honestly, the vegan life choice or style into your products and just who you are as a person. I became a vegetarian 2 years ago. I became vegan back in May, and years ago it seemed so hard, but now I just organically got into it, and it's amazing.
Well, a good starter book for anybody that wants to become a vegan or start a vegetarian lifestyle is called The China Study. I read that book to start my journey because I had high cholesterol as an adult, and my doctor was giving me so much medication to control it. Liver cannot handle this for my entire life. So I read this book, and it talked about the difference between plant-based and animal-based eating. And the statistics proved that eating a plant-based diet would improve your blood chemistry and your body itself. So that's the reason why I originally went vegan. But after you become vegan and you're not eating animals anymore, then you realize that it's a cruel, very cruel thing to do, to torture and kill animals for your self-preservation, because you do not need to eat meat or animal products to survive in this world. So I don't lecture people on it. I can only discuss what it did for me. And not only the chemistry in my body, but the mental condition of my thought pattern about how the world exists today.
Yeah. You know, this summer I at a distanced relative barbecue. There's only four of us in my uncle's backyard, but his neighbor was over and they're eating steak and they found out I was vegan. And this guy had a few beers and he says, I've always wanted to ask this. Like when I smell steak, I just, my mouth's watering. I'm hungry. So when you smell grass, do you get hungry? And he starts laughing and patting himself on the leg. And I just looked at him like, Jesus Christ.
You know what you should have said to him? You know, when you're walking in the country and you see a cow in a pasture and you see this apple tree with these delicious, beautiful, what are you going to do? Go and take an apple and eat it, or you're going to go bite that cow? Because it just makes sense.
Yeah. It's, and then you realize it's not more expensive or harder to be vegan. I had the Just Egg brand and made an amazing omelet this morning with the vegan bacon. I don't miss the taste of meat, but I got the vegan bacon. I forget what brand. It's so freaking good. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. I mean, there are a lot of vegan options out there now, more so than what I ever had when I first started this venture of mine. So, you know, I just think it's the only way to go. I mean, save our planet is what I say. Seriously.
And whenever traveling becomes a thing and you're in Portland, we'll definitely have to hit up. There's so many vegan places. It's overwhelming.
I'm so jealous of the West Coast. They're so far further ahead of us as far as restaurants and places to go to buy vegan things. I live in New York and Florida, and New York has some vegan restaurants, but not as many as LA. And, you know, it just makes me crazy. London is really good for vegan people, though. London is really, really high on the charts for restaurants.
Really? I had no idea. Huh. Yeah. Dang. I'm going to have to eventually check that out.
Take a trip to London.
Yeah.
Eventually.
You know, I've only been outside the country once, and the first trip was to Australia. And
that's a big trip.
Yeah. And I didn't really realize or really consider the jet lag thing. I knew about it. I heard about it. Flew there, had kind of 12 hours to rest, and then was on stage for 3 days and was so out of it. I basically was on stage just like, guys, just watch me. Just so do you, as we kind of start to wrap up, what is there anything you feel like might be different with our industry career path, the beauty industry, going forward that maybe some new people might need to consider? Or do you feel like we kind of covered that with the social media and understanding your brand?
Well, you know, nobody can really look into the future.
Yeah.
You know, the $64,000 question everybody seems to want to know is what's going to happen next. None of us know really what's going to happen next. All we can do is point in a direction that we feel that's going to work, that will catch on. You know, keep your eyes on fashion. You know, see what's happening in the fashion world, and also keep your eyes in the music world. Between those two topics, you'll evaluate what is going on, and you'll create what needs to be done for that industry. And that usually will determine what happens next.
Yeah. I'm 33, so in the early 2000s, the big emo music and MySpace, I mean, that was huge for fashion. Yeah. I mean, you look back at that era at the same time, you're like, ugh, yikes, why did I do the side swoop thing? I don't, it is hard to find up. I feel like as long as we just keep moving forward, that's the best we can do. And I'm not just saying it to like, this is for the students, so this isn't a big marketing thing, but with R+co, I feel like you guys have been really, really great about just, I feel like from day one of the shutdown and everything, you guys were like, okay, we're going to do this. And then the drive-in movie theater thing.
Yeah.
That was awesome.
Yeah, it was awesome. I did it here in Florida, but I did it in the middle of August. It was
God.
so damn hot.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't happen at night. It was happening during the day. So the sun was just baking on us.
Jesus.
But I think it turned out really well. I think that we did one in California too, and that turned out really well. So, we tried different things to stimulate not only the audience, but the people that like our brand.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I love the brand, especially the photography. That's always got me with the pictures on the products. And honestly, what I miss from live education is attending some local classes of R+co, and the local rep would even have little R+co, little popcorn or like cookies. I didn't want to eat the cookie. I wanted to keep it. I love everything about that. And
it's a great brand, and we just keep on growing it. As you know, Garen has his baby out now called Blue. It's yeah, there you go. It's right there.
Yeah.
Totally world and earth environment correct. We've took everything a step further this time.
Yeah. And when you see it online and then seeing it in person, when you see the package in person, not that I thought much differently, but it looks really cool in person. The color scheme and just the matte finish of I'm a big product guy, and I like packaging, call me crazy.
In the meetings, I was always against too much packaging, but they assured me and everyone else that everything that we do will be recyclable. So it was fine with me then.
Yeah. I was recording a little the unboxing for this yesterday, and I was reading off the tube, and I said plastic cap or the sugarcane paste plastic cap made from 100 PCR, and I had to slow myself every time because I almost said PCP, but what's PCR?
The chemical part of it, I don't know, but it will all dissolve in a compost pile within 160 days, I believe it is.
Oh, so okay.
If you bury that, it'll just disappear on you.
That's good to know. Well,
yeah.
I wish all the stuff that was in my backyard for my kids leaving stuff out there would just disappear too, but and it's going back to the question. Yeah, we don't know what's going to change, but I feel like as long as we adapt and just keep doing what we're doing, it's again the best we can do. And I'll start to wrap up because I've been really wanting to just sit and listen to you because I really do look up to you. I'm a big fan, and it's crazy that I sent you that message and you said, yeah, sure. And I was like, oh shit, I got to actually think of legit questions. Because I've been mainly doing this with just people I've already hung out with or I know thank you. Well, now, yeah.
You've known me for a couple of years now on Instagram.
Yeah.
So you know me.
Yeah. We could even, I'll just say it right now. I think we are probably becoming best friends. I don't know. But
yeah, no, I was looking forward to meeting you in Washington.
Oh, yeah.
So
yeah, that was right when I was really looking forward to that show. And it's like the world's on fire and I still hit up my rep so that the show's not going to go on. No, hopefully one day we'll get back to that. Is there any guilty pleasures you've picked up, like shows, podcasts?
Oh, I have one that I get yelled at all the time for because I love DC comic books, Netflix. So I'm continually watching these brainless stories on Netflix.
Oh, okay.
So I mean, it's just to move the time.
Yeah.
But I try to start my morning off with an hour of Italian lessons because when I started COVID, when we all had to bunker down, I thought I have to do something that's going to develop my brain,
Hmm.
frying it. So I do an hour of Italian lessons every day. And then I go outside. I have a beautiful yard that I can putz around in for another couple hours. And I've just developed starting to ride my bike too. So I don't sit around all day. I try and keep myself busy. I wish I could keep myself busy doing hair, but it's just not in the cards right now.
Yeah. Yeah. And I used to work in the music industry and tour with small bands. And I've been in Florida in August, and the venue at this place, the AC went out and it was so packed and hot, the cheese on my sandwich melted. So I've been to Florida in May or in August, and
Well,
it's
I
hot.
love it. I said to Garen, I said, if we would have stayed in New York, I would have probably pushed you out the window, because to be in a one-bedroom apartment with two people for 3 months without going out, it just wouldn't have worked.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate this, and the students will appreciate this. And
My pleasure. I just hope that everybody who is going to listen to this is going to just shoot off with their careers. I mean, just love what you do and you'll become better than you think you could ever be.
True that. Well, thank you, Thom. We'll talk soon. Okay.
All right. Take care.
Take care. Bye.
Bye.